I recently released a video on how to build a sideline business with a selection of lifetime deals from Appsumo, and part of this video focused on a tool called Swipe Pages. In this video, we're going to delve a little deeper into Swipe Pages and see why I feel this is one of those lifetime deals that are really worth grabbing, even if you only go for a single code. Now before we hop in, let me just quickly go over what Swipe Pages is and what the Appsumo deal includes. But I also need to say that this deal is only available for the next 4-ish days. So if you like what you see and you don't want a serious case of FOMO, go grab at least one code after you watch this video. You get 60 days to get your money back if you don't like it. Now the link is in the description below and it is an affiliate link, but if you prefer not to use it for some reason, then just go over to Appsumo and you'll find the deal there. So in the video that I did recently where we took a look at creating a sideline business using Swipe Pages as the basis for creating landing pages, we only took a pretty cursory glance at Swipe Pages itself. Now I noticed the other day that it's pretty much only on Appsumo for a few more days at the time of recording this video, and I know for myself that I was so impressed with it I've grabbed myself another license, so I've got more options available. So today I want to take you through and just show you in a little bit more detail why I think Swipe Pages is one of those tools that might be worth grabbing right now, especially if you're a freelancer looking for an option to create landing pages, or it's something you'd like to add to your business model. Now I'd recommend taking a look at the first video I did. I'll put a link in the description below and in the corner right now, so you can check that out if you'd like to see in a bit more detail. With that being said, let's take a quick look at what Swipe Pages is, then we'll take a look at the offer that's on Appsumo, and then finally we'll jump in and take a look at Swipe Pages in action and how you can start building your own landing pages. So what exactly is Swipe Pages and what does it do? Well, at its core, it allows you to visually build landing pages. You're not reliant upon WordPress or any other tools. Everything is totally self-contained. You also have a lot of really useful options to ensure that your landing pages are both optimized and also operate really well across various different devices. Plus, it's very easy to be able to do things like A/B testing, set up online purchases, and a lot more. But apart from that, the fact it's up on Appsumo for a lifetime offer opens it up to being something that once you've paid your money, you basically have the tool for its lifespan. So let's take a quick look over the Swipe Pages homepage. Let's see what we have inside here. First of all, we can easily create AMP pages. Now, if you don't know what an AMP page is, it's basically an accelerated page that's optimized for mobiles, and it's something that Google really does like. If someone's viewing your landing page on a mobile, they should be getting a very optimized experience. It's going to be faster to load and lots of other really useful things. This is built directly into Swipe Pages. You don't really have to do anything other than design your page or use one of the predefined templates and use that as the basis for your AMP page. Next up, we also have a fairly simple and straightforward simple and drag and drop interface. If you're used to using tools like Elementor, those kinds of things to create pages, you're going to be very much at home using the drag and drop editor. Next on the list, we have a lot of predefined, pre-built templates we can use as a starting point, ranging from various different categories like e-commerce, health, finance, and so on. So great starting points that we can use and then just do what we want with those design-wise with the drag and drop editor. Now, what else makes this an attractive proposition is that we've got well-optimized code. We've got hosting with SSL and CDN already as part of the plan, built-in image compressions, all the things that you would normally end up doing to build a landing page are kind of all taken care of for you. So it just means that you've got one location to manage yours or your client's landing pages. And as you can see, we can easily integrate our landing page with the tools like MailChimp, HubSpot, and so on. We can also use Zapier if we want to connect to additional services. If you want to manage teams, you can do that inside here as well. So there's lots of really useful options. So that's basically what we have as part of Swipe Pages. Let's hop over now and take a look at the Appsumo deal and what's on offer there. So this is the deal page. And if we just drop down to the codes and what we get for those, you can see we get, for a single code, we get 3 custom domains, 100,000 monthly unique visitors split across all the domains, 5 client sub-accounts. If you want to work with clients, we can create sub-accounts for those. And if we have a team of people working with us, we can also set up team members. Now, as I said in my first video, if you want to use this to actually end up making money, so a sideline business, or to augment your existing design business or freelance business, Generally, I would say the 5 codes is the best option. Yes, it's going to cost you $245, but for the fact of the matter is you get 100 custom domains, unlimited monthly unique visitors, unlimited client sub accounts, and unlimited team members. You could very easily be making a good income just by using this and knowing that you've got no additional outgoings on top. That's what my recommendation would be. However, if you're setting this up and you just want to use it for your own purposes, you may have a business, you may have something you want to have some lead captures, some lead magnets and so on, maybe the single or the double option would be perfect for you. What is worth noting though right now is, and not to cause any fear of missing out, there's only just over 3 days left on this particular deal. So if you want to grab the lifetime deal, whether it's 1 code or 5 codes, take a look at it over the next couple of days and decide whether you think it's going to be for you. Link, as always, is in the description if you want to check that, or you can just go direct to the Appsumo page and take a look for yourself. Now, when you log into Swipe Pages, this is the interface you'll currently see. Now, I'm sure this will be expanded and changed over time, but right now, these are the options you have. So let's take a quick look at what we've got here. This is kind of your index or collection of landing pages. They'll all be listed inside here. You can see I've already gone ahead and created one example, but I can, if I want to, I can search through these. I can create a new design from here, and I can just adjust the way things are listed, whether we want to have them as individual items like this, or we want to have a row version. If we open up the row, you can see we get a little bit of information, tells us whether it's published or pending. We can edit the page and we can open this up. We can choose to delete it, duplicate it if we want to use this for A/B testing, and you can preview it. Now, if we take a look at the top, you can see we have personal project and invite team. If we expand the personal projects, this is where we could set up multiple different projects and group them together. We can create our sub accounts, clients, those kinds of things. So if we click on manage, you can see this will allow us to see various different pieces of information about the account, the profile, the sub account, and any billing information we want to set up for it. Now, before we take a look at creating a landing page, let's take a look at the other options first. So next up, we have domains. If we open this up, you can see this is where we can create and connect our different domains. So you can create subdomains, those kinds of things. Full information is given how to do this. So don't worry, if you're new to this, it'll show you how you need to do it to get this all up and working. But as you can see, we can choose the DNS information, we can delete this, and we can click on connect for run our actions. And this is just basically using a subdomain of promo on my main domain. Next, we have integrations. And this is where we can currently integrate Swipe Pages with various different other tools. So like I said earlier, MailChimp, Constant Contact, HubSpot, and so on. As you can see, Aweber is coming soon. Integromat is in beta currently, but Zapier is already set up. So you can link this through using tools like that if what you're looking for with your integrations isn't currently supported. But hopefully this will be something they'll expand upon to give native integration to some more tools that are very, very popular, things like MailerLite and so on. Next, we have the e-commerce options. You can see currently this is set up to only work with Stripe. However, I understand they're also going to be bringing PayPal online quite soon, and hopefully some additional payment processors. So there's a more global reach for countries that don't necessarily support Stripe or Connect. So now that we've taken a brief overview of the options that are available, let's take a look at actually creating a landing page. We'll click Create Landing Page. We'll give this a name. So we're just going to call this Sample, and we'll say choose our page type. This is where we can choose between a standard page or an AMP page. Now, depending upon your audience and the main device or devices they may use, you can choose between the two, but obviously AMP pages are recommended by Google and they are optimized for mobiles. So I'm going to say I'm going to choose the AMP page. We'll choose that option, and that then takes us into the place where we can choose a template, or we can start with a clean slate and build everything from scratch. And if we scroll down, you can see there are a range of already good looking starting designs. We could use these as they are, or we can use those as the basis of creating something more unique. And for this example, we'll just create something from one of these templates. But as you can see, there are quite a few different options available. If we come back to the top, we can choose the template based upon the market that is actually aimed at. So things like finance, for example, or health and medical, education. And we can stack these so we can make sure that we can choose something that meets all of the criteria. So as you can see, this is just a range of selected templates we can use. Let's just remove the filter and let's find a design that we quite like. So let's just say that I like the look of this particular one. We can view the template so we can see what this is going to look like full size. And as you can see, there's our starting point. All looks pretty cool. So let's say we're happy with that template design, and we'll just say use the template, and that will then load everything in, including the swipe editor. Now, if you're used to working with any kind of visual editor, probably more a case of if you're using something like Oxygen, this is going to look fairly familiar. Down the left of our screen, we can see all of the different sections that make up our page. If we expand any of these sections out, we can see the subcomponents. In other words, we've got a section that contains a row, and inside there we've got 2 columns. Inside the first column we have an image. Inside the second we have a heading, some text, and a form. We expand these out, you can see we've got various different subsections for each of these, so we can drill down right the way to every single aspect of any of the designs that we're working with, whether we've created them or they've been created as part of a template. Now, with these sections on the left hand side, they're fully drag and drop, so if we want to change the order, we can simply adjust the stacking, and you can see that updates in real time on our page. Put those back, no problem at all. The little 3 dots on the right hand side allows us to do various different things. We can click and we can edit this, we can duplicate it, or we can remove it. Now, we're not limited to only working with this hierarchy on the left hand side. We can easily come over onto the page itself and click anywhere, and you can see what that will do is it'll open up all of the options for that particular, as I'll call it, widget or module, whatever you want to call it. So there's various different ways in which we can access all the different data, all the different settings, all the different things we can configure for any of these elements, any of these widgets. Everything is fully editable. Now, with any of these modules or widgets active, you can see we have extra options available. We can move this around. We can edit this. We can see we've got text sections, rows, columns, and so on. If you want to view this particular widget or module inside the hierarchy of the page, you can simply click the layout, the eye icon, and that will then show you on the left-hand side exactly where this is inside the stacking order of the design and the element and section. So very simple and straightforward. Click on the form element, and you can see now we can easily come in and set up all the things we need for the form. Which leads me onto the left hand side. When you choose any of the widgets, you can see we've got different types of settings or options. We've got the content in this example, and we've got advanced. Now, advanced, in much the same way as Elementor and a lot of other page builders, allows you to do things like set the margins, the padding, those kinds of things, apply borders, dynamic text, shadows, animations, and many other things. Whereas the content in this example is where we edit the actual physical content inside this particular widget. So in this instance, we've got a heading. We can change the heading 1 through 6, adjust the content width, the wrapper line, the text align, text color, typography, also based upon the different types of devices. So everything is fully mobile responsive. We can take a look at a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, or a mobile phone. And as you can see, as we're used to with most page editors, everything is shown inside a preview in the main pane, and then we can easily make the adjustments based upon the type of device we want to configure. So really simple, really straightforward, and like I say, nothing you haven't already seen in tools like Elementor. Now, speaking of tools like Elementor, we know that most of that is based upon widgets, and we have all those options available inside swipe pages. If we come up to the middle option, which is modules, we can click on there, and then there's all the modules we have available to us. So let's just say we wanted to insert a divider between the title and the actual content below. We can simply drag the widget over, position it where we want, and the left-hand window gives us all of the options to style it, all those kinds of useful things. So nothing you haven't already seen probably a million times. So the interface itself is pretty simple to work with. We also have a settings panel which allows us to do various different things. We can insert general information, we can set up headers if we want to, so we could enable a header on here, so you could have a sort of a logo and those kinds of things, which generally isn't something you tend to put onto a landing page, but you have the option to enable or disable should you require it. Same goes with the footer. This is where we can also do things like set the global typography. So you can see we can configure the typography, the color, the size, the fonts, and again we can set this up across the different devices, so making sure that everything looks the way that you want it to, no matter what device someone's viewing the actual landing page on. So all those options are inside there. On top of that, we also have tracking codes. So we can open up tracking codes and we can insert tracking IDs for things like Google Maps, Google Analytics, and the Facebook Pixel. Or we can drop in custom code into the head, the body start or the body end. Now, bearing in mind that if you're working with an AMP page, you have to make sure that the code that you insert into any of these areas is AMP compliant. If not, it basically doesn't get rendered, it gets ignored and doesn't do what you want it to do. So make sure you check to see if it is AMP compliant if you're using AMP pages for your landing pages. We can also set up the SEO, and you can see all the main kinds of things are inside here: title, description, meta keywords, other meta tags, and so on. So we can drop anything inside there that we need. We can insert custom CSS and custom JavaScript. So we have full control if we want to get right the way into granular control that falls outside what you can do with the Swipe Pages editor itself. And finally, we have checkouts. So you can see we've not connected any payment accounts right now, but once you set up your Stripe, you'll have the option then for checkout. So if you wanted to have something on here that people could purchase on your landing page, well, you can set that up and they can make the payment, and everything is self-contained inside Swipe Pages. Now, on top of being able to create your own landing page or use a template as a starting point, we also have more options available to us. We can add a blank section if we want to, or we can use templates. Now, these templates are not page templates, they are section templates. So if you're used to working with a tool like Elementor, Divi, anything like that, they come with an abundance of templates, and the same goes for Swipe Pages. We click to open this up. We have basic starting points for various different types of sections. So currently we have a whole range of different things. So intros, content, features, ratings, call to actions, pricing, all those kinds of things. So we can click on features, for example, and we can see all the feature templates, and then we can simply click to insert that. And once that's inserted, we can then start editing that to do what we want with it. So we'll insert that into our page simply by clicking load template. And there we go. There's the template inserted in. Now we can simply come in and start editing whatever we want. If we want to change the icon, we can click on the icon and change that to something different. And we have, again, a range of different icons to choose from. So we'll choose something like this, insert the icon, and there we go. But it's also picking up the global color. So again, it's one of those things that when you're designing using this tool, if you're coming from a background where global colors are part of the page build that you're used to, you're going to have all of that inside Swipe Pages as well. So the transition over from a different tool should be pretty seamless. Okay, so now that we've built our page, everything is ready. What's the next thing we need to do? Well, we can preview it to make sure that it looks the way that we want. So we click on preview, that'll open up another tab and allow us to see exactly what's going on with the design. If you want to benchmark this and test it with something like GTmetrix, you can simply use this preview link and then you can test it out, and then you can optimize should you need to. But like I said at the top of the video, this is linked up to a CDN, which I believe is Bunny CDN. Also has image optimization as part of the platform. So you are starting off with a pretty good base to work from. So once you've previewed it and you're happy with the design and everything is optimized and working the way you want, we're simply going to hit save, and then we're going to just publish this. Now we're going to hit publish, and this will then ask us, where do you want to publish this to? If you don't have your own domain associated with your account, you can just use one of the Swipe Pages subdomains and use their default setup. And this is great if you just want to test things out. But if you want to use your domain, you can do that, and then making sure that you've got your domains, subdomains, and so on associated with your Swipe Pages account, you can then just choose the domain that you want. At this point in time, I don't have one associated with it, but you can kind of see exactly what you need to do. And like I say, there is full help on how to set all of this up there for you. Let's come back to the Swipe Pages URL. And what we're going to do is we're just simply going to just choose a little subdomain that's been set up for me, and I'm just going to call this sample. Let's hit publish, and we are pretty much done. So now once this is done, it tells us it's been published successfully. We can now take a look at this on its domain. So if we click on the little arrow to the right hand side of which says published, you can see we've got edit URL if we want to change that. So we could be using a sample Swipe Pages domain just to test things out, making sure our client's happy with it or we're happy with it. Then when we're ready, we can swap that over. So we could use the edit URL to take us back in and change any of the domain or Swipe Pages URL information. So pretty cool. Also, you can see we can say view page. So we click view page, that'll open up a new page for us, and it'll show us this now live on the actual finished domain. And as you can see, everything is in place and looking pretty cool. So that's how easy it is to edit, create, do whatever you want, then publish it. But what else do we have? What else can we do? Well, how about some A/B testing? You can see at the moment it says variant A, and all we have is just one example of this. However, we can click on plus and add a second, third, fourth, and so on variation. You're not limited to just 2 variations. So even though it says AB, you can have A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever you kind of want. And this is, again, where the beauty of this comes in, because we have full control over how often a certain design will be shown and all those kinds of useful things. So let's add a new variation. We'll leave it a variant B, and we'll say clone the existing variant, which is the one we have, which is variant A. So we'll say add our variant and let that load in, and you can see now we've got variant B, and we can switch back and forth between them as we need to. So it's really, really simple to create these different variations, and now we can go to town and make changes to whatever we want: colors, text, fonts, the wording, anything to do with the design. They can be completely different or just slight tweaks on the same theme. So let's just go over to our settings. Let's come into our colors, and let's just change some of these primary colors just so we can get a feel for how we can change things. So you can see we've got the title is set to this color. Well, we can just change that to something like green. We'll update it, and then anywhere that color is going to be used, it will change. So you can see there's the color being changed there. If we wanted to change the primary color, we can do that. So we could choose this darker green, for example, and you can see now our button changes. Our tertiary color, again, we can change that. We'll change that to something horrible like this orange color, and as you can see, it looks absolutely terrible. But it's very easy to make these changes just so we can get a feel for how everything works. So let's just say we want to set this to this pale color, and we're just happy with that, which, like I say, looks absolutely horrible, but it allows us to see what's going on. So now we can do the same again. We can click save, and this is saving our variation. We can publish this, and we can change the URL. We can do all those things. So we'll say publish, and we'll let that publish. Once that's finished, if you want to switch back to our first variation, we can simply come back up to the top, say variant A, and let that load in with all our original colors and everything intact. So that's very easy to do, but how do we control how the variations are actually displayed and set the rules for those things? Well, to do that, we need to come back to our dashboard. From here, you can see we're now looking at the information about our sample set. Now from this section, we've got various different things we can do. Most importantly, we need to set up and configure the A/B testing. So even though we can see the variants here, you can see variant A is the master, and that's given a weight of 100%. In other words, that's the page that will always be shown. Variant B is currently paused. Now, what we need to do is switch to A/B testing. We'll say, yes, we want to change it to A/B testing, and now we can configure the percentage or the weight for each of these. You can see now, by default, they've been set to 50% and 50%. But if you had more variations, you might want to give weight to a particular design over the others. So you can easily adjust the weight variance. So we can click on there, and you can see we now have a very simple slider, and we can just simply say we'll drop that one down to say 30%, and we'll set this one up to 70%. You can see we can't go past 70 because there was the total 100%. Click OK, and that's adjusted the variation weight for those two. Again, we can come in and we can edit these if we want to, preview them, rename them, do whatever we kind of want. So it's very, very easy to set up our variations. We can click publish, and that will then publish this variation set, and then we'll let that run, and then we can take a look at what happens. This is where the analytics tabs come in. If we switch over to analytics, you can see this shows us our variations, the number of visits, the number of unique visits, the conversions, and the conversion rate. So we can very easily compare the different variations to see which performs the best. Once that's been done, and we've kind of given it 2 weeks, for example, to see what variation operates and comes back with the best results, we could then remove the other variation, or at least set it up so all of our traffic goes through to the highest converting page. But all done inside Swipe Pages in a very simple, logical fashion. Obviously, we don't have any real data in here at the moment because we've just set things up. But you can see how easy it is to set these variations up and start working with them. Now, before we sort of sign off, let's take a look at these other options. The leads is where we can see what's happened. So if we're creating, sort of generating leads using these, we can have it set up so the form will insert the data inside here, and then we can choose to export that data when we're finished with it. We have settings, which is basically just mimicking the same settings we had when we set up our first page, our first landing page. So if we want to come in and make changes to this without having to open up the editor, we can do that directly inside here. So you can see the head, the body start, body end, all those things are inside there. Lead capture, we can see Are we storing leads inside here? So if you don't want to store that data from any leads, you can make sure that's disabled. And by default, it is disabled. You can set up your lead magnets. You can set up an autoresponder email for anybody that signs up to your lead magnet, and so on. So very, very easy. And like I say, all self-contained. Again, the SEO options are inside here, should you want to set those up. And also social sharing, where we can set up title, URL description, and the image associated with it for both Facebook and Twitter. So really, really simple to work with, but a ton of options. We publish this page, and that's now going to publish that set with any of these details that we've updated. And you can see we've got the 3 little pop-outs next to the publish. We can view the publish page, rename it, unpublish it should we want to remove this landing page but not delete it, create a standard version, which basically means there's not A/B tested, or we can then just click on delete to remove it. So that basically is what we can do with swipe pages. Yes, there's so much more that I could show you about how to design the pages and so on. But that's kind of going above and beyond what I really want to show you. If you're looking at something like this and you are coming from a page builder background, or if not, it's so simple to work with that I don't think it would take much trial and error before you start building great looking pages. And because you have so many templates to start off with, both for entire pages and for different sections, you've got all the starting building blocks that you need. And then you can just change the data, the information, and the images to get the landing page you need for yours or your client's project. That's a more detailed view of swipe pages. And if you like more tutorials on using it, well, let me know in the comment section below. Oh, and if you've already using swipe pages, what do you think of it? Again, just drop some comments in the comment section. Now, if you found this video useful, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button, smash the subscribe button, and slap that bell icon. But if you didn't find it useful though, well, feel free to hit the thumbs down button twice, as that works pretty well too. As always, all of the applicable links are in the description. My name is Paul C, this is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.